Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys taking some time to spend with me today on the video. And I know everybody's busy and have a ton of stuff to do, so really appreciate you guys checking it out today. We are going to be talking more about jerkbaits today, specifically what you have to do, or the number one thing you have to do to actually generate a strike from a jerkbait. Because a jerkbait is a lure that attracts a lot of fish. It gets a lot of fish close to the bait, but most of the time those fish won't bite it. And there's some things that you can do to actually trick that fish into biting a jerkbait. So we're going to talk about that in today's video. Also guys, just a big thank you out there. I wanted to extend a huge thank you from me and my family to everybody that's been using my Tackle Warehouse link and bookmarking that link for all your tackle purchases. If you're one of the viewers that just use my link, all the time for your tackle purchases, thank you very much from me and my family. And also guys, I'll put my Tackle Warehouse megabass jerkbait link in the description of this video if you guys would like to get some of the jerkbaits I talk about in today's episode. Okay guys, all you guys that have been with me for a long time, I've done a lot of stuff on jerkbaits, and I'll continue doing it because there's no other technique that's more complicated. Jerkbait fishing is the number one most difficult technique in bass fishing to learn. There's more variables to it, there's more ins and outs to it, there's more constantly changing elements to it. You're never going to learn everything about it. It's like, I've been doing it as much as anybody in this country. I venture to say that I have probably fished jerkbaits more than anybody in the United States over the past 50 years. This is, I helped develop the Megabass Vision 110. I live in the Ozarks, where jerkbait fishing started. I've been fishing them heavily since the mid 1970s. So I've got a ton of experience with it that I want to share with you guys. And in saying that, I want to reiterate the fact that you're never going to learn everything about it because it is a complicated technique to learn. But today, what I want to talk about specifically is some things you can do to actually get a bass to commit to biting a jerkbait rather than looking at it. Because there's a couple different lure categories out there where the bass really look at the bait and don't bite it. What are you doing there, honey?
Doing something.
Huh?
Wandering around doing something.
Okay, well, I'm doing a little video here and we'll be done shortly. Okay, Elijah's off for Thanksgiving holiday this week. He's a little bored right now. But anyway, jerk baits and glide baits are the two lure categories that the fish will come to them a lot, and it gets their interest because it's a visual sight bait and they'll come from a long way to get it or to look at it. But more than not, on both a glide bait and a jerk bait, what happens is you've got this lure darting around like that, and it gets these fish swimming to it, and they look at it, they get real close to it, and they'll study it, and they just swim away from it. More than not, I bet probably if you have 100 bass that look at a jerkbait, I bet probably only less than 10 of them actually hit the thing. I bet 90% of the fish that get close enough to see your bait, they swim away from it. The reason I say this is from my own experience about watching bass track a jerkbait, watching them swim away. All the guys out there that use the cheater box can probably verify this, that they see bass get close to their bait on a spotlight and veer off of it. So that's the reality of this lure category. But what I want to talk about is how to get past that to generate the strike. Now, let's talk about a typical jerkbait cast. You make your cast with the jerkbait, you jerk it down like this, it's getting down, and then it gets to its deepest point like this, and you're jerking it, and then it comes up like that. Now, based upon the style of jerkbait you're using, as far as the lip design, the line size you're using, the length of your cast is going to determine how quickly and how deep that jerkbait goes. But regardless, every single cast that you make, every single jerkbait that you make has got a place that I call the sweet spot. Now, the sweet spot is the deepest point of which your jerkbait runs. So say, for example, with this Megabass Vision 110, this bait will run about 7 or 8 feet deep on a long cast with 6 to 8 pound line. So that's the sweet spot, the deepest part of it. The sweet spot is going to account for 95 or more % of the quality bass you catch. In jerkbait fishing, especially in the wintertime, you're very seldom going to get a bite on the way down, and you're very seldom going to get a bite on the way up. It happens, it's rare. Most of the time you're gonna get the bite on that sweet spot. Now the sweet spot, how far this sweet spot is dependent upon the length of your cast, because the longer your cast is, the quicker your bait gets down and the longer it stays in that sweet spot before it comes up towards the boat. So longer the cast, the longer the sweet spot. That's why I always encourage making a long cast for wintertime fishing. So this is how you trigger. This is how you want to trigger a bass, specifically in the wintertime. There's other ways to trigger them in the warmer weather months, which we'll do later videos on. But I want to talk about how to trigger a bass in the wintertime, you know, just the typical wintertime bass fishing. Once you get your bait down to the sweet spot, where you feel that it's at the deepest point at that particular cast, it's very important to keep your bait in that sweet spot as long as you want. So in other words, once you get that bait down to your sweet spot, you got to avoid the jerk, jerk, pause, jerk, jerk, pause. This is how most 99% of the people work it. Jerk, jerk, pause, jerk, jerk, pause. So it comes down like this, jerk, jerk, pause, jerk, jerk, pause, and then goes up like that. What happens is this cadence will work occasionally, but more than not, it won't. What you want to do is once you get the bait down into that maximum depth, you want to get away excuse me, from the jerk, jerk, pause, and you want a twitch, twitch, pull. Twitch, twitch, pull. And when I'm talking about twitch, I'm talking more about a vibration like that. So this is the way it looks. You get down here like this, it's at the bottom depth. I vibrate it. I'm just twitching it like that, almost keeping it in one spot and then pulling the bait. And when you pull the bait, it sort of swims like that, and then stop it, and then twitch, 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 pull. And when you pull it, it looks like a crankbait going across the water. And if you've ever watched bass or minnows in cold water, they don't dart around like this. They're barely moving. So try to mentally figure out how to do that. Is when you get that bait down to the deepest point, reel it down, twitch, twitch, pull, twitch, twitch, pull. I'm talking about twitch, twitch. I'm talking about that rod tip just going just like that, barely. And that's why you're using a spinning rod. You can't do the twitch, twitch, pull with a bait caster. You don't have the feel for it. It overwhelms the bait. Sorry, dude, I got getting over a cold here. So that spinning rod is really critical. But that's the main thing, guys, is when you do that twitch, twitch, pull, that fish is looking down at that bait and studying that bait, and the metabolism of a bass in relationship to the cooler water temperature in that sweet spot, that twitch, twitch, pull, most of the time we'll get those fish to hit. Sometimes they hit it when it's vibrating, sometimes when it's moving, but I get a lot more bites doing that than I do the jerk, jerk, pause. So anyway, give it a try, guys, over the next couple months. I think it's really gonna help you out, and we'll talk later.